Good evening, welcome to Vauxhall Stadium on what has become one of the most attractive nights on the Ipswich Speedway calendar, the Daily Mirror Westlake 16-lap Classic. Now this is the night that really puts the premium on well-prepared machinery and the tough physical condition of the riders. And looking down the entry, there's quite a few riders who fit that bill. For example, there's Joe Owen of Newcastle, the winner of the first Classic back in 1979. There's Billy Sanders, the local man who took the title in 1980. But the outstanding favourite tonight must certainly be Phil Crump of Australia. He took the title in 1981 and 1982, and he's widely regarded as the Iron Man of the sport. Well, 16 heats of conventional speedway, then 8 riders qualify for the 16-lap final, which is one of the great spectacles of the sport. And at stake there is a brand new Westlake engine. That's the first prize. Well, we've got a new man in our commentary box tonight. Michael Lee, the former world champion, will no doubt be adding his very direct comments as Dave Lanning, our regular commentator, describes the action.
The sixth staging of the Westlake 16-lap Classic here in perfect conditions in midsummer sunshine at Vauxhall Heath. Looking across the lineup for Heat 1 on the inside in red, former winner Billy Sanders from Australia and of course Ipswich. Grid 2 has local lad from Felixstowe, Nigel Flatman. He'll be in the blue helmet. Grid 3 in white is Richard Knight, and on the outside Phil Crump, a master at this particular discipline in yellow and black. And away they go from the outside. Crump has got a flyer. Crump is away, Sanders is second. In third place it is Flatman. And Phil Crump, this gritty competitor from Victoria, and indeed twice winner of this event, out in front here as they go into lap 2. It's Crump in front. Sanders now moving up onto his back wheel. In third place it is Flatman, and the two top Aussies in contention here in Heat 1. Crump really is a tough character, durable, hard rider, gives nothing away, and he really had a flyer here in Heat 1. And now, although Sanders got up to flourish briefly on his back wheel as they come into the last lap, it looks like it's going to take a miracle to stop Crump. Remember, the top 8 qualifiers in the scoring list go forward to the final for that Westlake machine, worth well over £1,000. Crump wins it. Second place is Sanders. Third place, creeping into the third place position, is the rider in white, Richard Knight. And that's an impressive start for the twice winner of this event, Phil Crump. Heat number 2, and on the inside we have local boy and overseas finalist in the World Solo Championship. That's Jeremy Doncaster, having his best ever season. In grid 2, Mel Taylor, again a local East Anglian, comes from Milden Hall, won the Golden Sovereign here back in 1982. He'll be in the blue helmet in grid number 2. In white, coming into the action, another Milden Hall protege, that's Carl Blackburn, in his first season with the Witches, and really has had an impressive year so far. And on the outside, the spectacular John Cowboy Cook from California, and with the Witches as well. Heat 2, and it's a pretty even break up to the first corner. Could be Doncaster who gets there ahead. Doncaster's in front, Taylor is second, and Cook got a nudge onto the outside there, and he won't be happy about that. So Cook moves into third place, but it is Doncaster in front. Second place is Taylor, and Cook really has to find some power and some drive to make up some ground. I can't see him catching Doncaster. Well, this is Jeremy Doncaster up front as the battle warms up. Here's Doncaster, and we look at the battle for second place with Taylor and Cook. As they go flying through our cameras down on the third and fourth corners into the last lap, and it's all the action for second place. Doncaster is 30 lengths in front, and Cook is trying inside and out of Taylor. There is Doncaster, and the battle for second place is thoroughly joined. We look back, and Cook just might have the drop here on the line. John Cook gets through by half a length, and it really was a hard racing last lap from Cook. Doncaster the winner there, in no trouble at all. And Cook really had to work hard to get up for 2 points into second place. So let's have a look at that last lap again, keeping our eye on the last 2 places there. And Michael Lee, let's read through this last lap.
Yeah, John Cook made a lovely move there. He's lined Taylor up, as you can see. He's got the run on him down the straight.
This is Doncaster, of course, up front. I mean, watch for the two coming through our picture, Michael.
Yeah, as you can see, Cookie comes into the picture, and he's got the edge on Melvin now, and he can just ease him out slightly as they come to the finish line. Perfect manoeuvre.
Moving on into heat number 3 with an intriguing international mixture here. On the inside, Bobby Boogaloo Schwartz from America, of course, the recent winner of the US final of the World Championship. He's on the inside and loves this kind of event. He's used to handicap racing and coming through from the back, which he may have to do if he qualifies for the final. Next to him in blue, we have a late starter. This is Andy Campbell of Scottish parentage, now living in Guildford. Indeed, he once was a choir boy at Guildford Cathedral. He's in blue, comes from Exeter in the British League. Grid 3 in white, we have Hans Nielsen. Well, Nielsen, intercontinental finalist, one of the top riders in the world for so long. Really doing his reputation any justice in a world final. And on the outside, Kai Niemi, who's settled magnificently into his first season here at Vauxhall Heath. He's on the outside in yellow. He, of course, is a Finn. So we have an American, a Scot, a Dane and a Finn here, just giving the international flavour to heat number 3. And they're touching the tapes, and more stringent referees might not be happy with that up to the first corner. Schwartz has got away in there. Campbell's gone with him there. Not very happy with that start. There was some tape touching there, and the referee is Stan Mellish. We've had controversy on this point before. What is he going to do? It looked like the riders in red and yellow were guilty of tape touching. Well, this is a controversial issue, and Michael Lee, my co-commentator, has been involved in this kind of controversy here at Ipswich this season. Michael, talk us through this start. Let's look for the tape touching.
Yeah, both riders there you saw did push the tapes, and I don't think anyone hit them a second time. Yes, Kai Niemi just caught them, but to be honest, I don't think either rider should have been excluded, let alone both of them, which I thought was against the regulations. But this is the problem with the referees that the riders seem to be having nowadays.
Well, heat 3 with two of the top star names excluded for tape charging now has Laurie Bloomfield, young reserve, on the inside. Next to him, Andy Campbell. Grid 3 has Hans Nielsen on the outside, another reserve. That is Andy Nightingale. So they really have turned heat 3 upside down already as the way they go in. Nielsen predictably is the one who gets clear. In second place, coming hard around the outside, it is Campbell. And in third place, there is Bloomfield. So the two more experienced riders carving up heat 3, and that really is to be expected. That the referee, Stan Mellish, while standing on the strict letter of the law, actually handed heat 3 to Hans Nielsen and indeed Andy Campbell, far and away the two more experienced riders. And to bring two young, relatively inexperienced reserves in against riders of this class really is just a little bit ludicrous. So they're into the last lap. Remember, it's 300 metres, 328 yards around Vauxhall Heath. And Hans Nielsen is having it all his own way here in heat number 3. 3 points for him, 2 for Campbell. And heat 3 will be remembered perhaps for the riders who weren't allowed to compete, rather for the performance of those who did. The panoramic shot of Vauxhall Heath Speedway, and it really is a perfect evening for speedway racing here in the Suffolk countryside. And heat 4 has John Louis, of course, a son of Suffolk, such a well-known and indeed popular character here, where he spent so many of his better years now with King's Lynn, and still an evergreen vintage performer. He's on the inside in red. Next to him, the controversial former Ipswich rider from Denmark, Preben Eriksson. Grid 3 has Lance King, this dashing young Californian. On the outside, it is Joe Owens from Newcastle, the first ever winner of this tournament. And up to the first corner, they all bunch there. And King got squeezed out. It is Louis who goes clear. Second place is Eriksson. King moving through into third place, but John Tiger Louis, showing all his experience and guile, made the start, had a good run at the first 2 corners, and he's kicking on now. Now beginning to title up as Eriksson, who is a forceful performer, determined too. He has got Lance King. And the Americans, we know, just love this racy Ipswich Speedway. They really are tightening up here in heat 4. It's going to be quite a good race, and John Louis cannot afford to make a mistake there. Are the distances, as you can see, only about half a dozen lengths between the first 3 as they come into the last lap. 300 metres to go. Eriksson has tried the inside and the outside, and King has not really made much impression. He'll try the outside run now. King But John Louis holds on. King just gets around the outside of Ericsson there. That really was, again, a brave manoeuvre on the last corner. Didn't seem to be a lot of drive out there, but King found it for the extra point, surely. Well, let's have a look at the last lap again with Michael Lee. Michael.
Yeah, Lance is, you can see him having a go. He's coming into the picture now, down the outside of Preben Eriksson. Looks like he's going to go by the corner there, but he just seems to find the drive, although it just doesn't look like there's anything there at all. And here he comes. Looks like he's not quite going to make it, but he just gets the run. Eriksson certainly just locked up a little bit coming out the corner, and I think that's how King made it.
Moving on to heat number 7, let's have a look at the lineup on the inside. Andy Campbell with 2 points, so a steady start for the Exeter Falcon. He is on the inside in red. Next to him, John Tiger Louis in blue, the local track specialist. You should know every inch of this Vauxhall Heath. So many checkered years here as the number 1 with the Witches. 11, in fact, he spent with the Ipswich side before moving on first to Halifax and currently with Kings Lynn. Grid 3 has Mel Taylor in the white helmet colour. He collected 1 point first time out. On the outside, it's Richard Knight, a young man from Ely, who indeed has been with Milden more than the National League Tour this season, signed for the Witches, and indeed has won his first England cap since moving up into senior speedway. So he's taken the step upwards very much in his stride. Heat 7 then, Campbell on the inside, then Louis. Grid 3 has Taylor. On the outside, it is Knight. There does seem to be just a little controversy at the start about who is infringing whose space. It's between Mel Taylor and Richard Knight. It does look like Mel is way out there on the outer part of Grid 3, but they're settling down now, and here's Heat 7. And it is Taylor who shows. Taylor in front. Second place is Campbell. Coming around the outside, it is Knight. And Louis at the back. And it is Melvin Taylor going away now on the bottom corner. And Louis has made his move around the outside, and it is tightening up, and this is a good piece of speedway. Still Taylor in front. Second place, Knight. Where is Tiger Louis? He's gone around the outside and run out of room and space to manoeuvre. Good race. Still in front, Taylor. Still second place, just Knight, although Louis might just have the drop on him here. It is cut and thrust, and Knight, has he held on? No, he hasn't. Moving into second place, Tiger Louis. Now chasing hard after Taylor. Into the last lap, and Louis moves across, and Campbell is trying to run as well and almost hits the fence. Well, this really has been all-ups to rivet the attention now around the last corner. Mel Taylor will hold on. Louis holds to second place. Third place, it is Knight. And that really was 4 laps of pulsating action. Let's look at the lineup for Heat 8. On the inside, the redoubtable Phil Crump, always a respected opponent. He'll be in the red helmet colour and won his first race, 3 points to him. Next to him, John Cook in blue, had to work hard for those 2 points in his opening run. Grid 3, Kai Niemi, who was excluded along with Bobby Swartz for tape charging, so he'll have to be patient here in Heat 8. And on the outside, Lance King, this other American resident with the Cradley Heath side in the British League Champions, of course, he's on the outside in yellow and black. So 2 Americans, an Australian and a Finn lining up for Heat 8, and that's a tremendous picture. The way they're going, Crump again has made the start. Going with him too, it is Niemi, and creeping around the inside is Cook, but Niemi has to drop around for second place. So here comes Cook again. It is all beginning to tighten up with Crump in front. Second place, a battle between Cook and Niemi, and by no means out of contention at the back, Lance King. Battle wall for second place. Look at this, and it could well be that Niemi's moved to the front. Crump suddenly seemed to slow, wonder what that could be, but it is now Cook in front. Niemi is second and Crump is third, and they are switching positions quite bewilderingly at the moment. Into the last lap, and Crump is slowing. It may well be mechanical, it's unlike Phil to do that, but John Cook isn't complaining, neither is Kai Niemi. The line, it is Cook who wins an interesting Heat 8. Second place there was Niemi. Crump was third, and Lance King at the back. And if you believe that Speedway is all about hopping out the traps and going, well, we saw there, it's just not the case. The riders can come through from the back and do quite frequently. Well, all the discussion in Heat 8 surrounds what happened to Phil Crump, because we can see here he's clearly in the lead. In second place it's Nemi, and Cook is third. Now, Michael Lee, what could have happened to Phil Crump? He doesn't normally make mistakes, does he?
No, he's certainly consistently holding his place up until this stage, and then suddenly you can see the motor seems to die a bit, and maybe it ran out of fuel slightly. Fuel starvation.
He looked down there, you can see.
Yeah, he's looked down, so obviously it's cut out. The hand's gone up there, and Cook and Nemi both went by him.
Phil, you seem to be going so well, but then was it a bike problem?
It seemed to tighten up a little bit, the motor, but I think it was a bit of trouble with the ignition box, so hopefully, you know, I can win a couple more races.
Fingers crossed it's nothing fundamental.
No, it's nothing major, I hope, anyway. You know, we've just got to keep trying.
Because this is the one night you need some reliable machinery, I suppose.
Well, that's right, yes. Every point you can gather in the qualifying races helps you a lot in the final, that's for sure.
Everyone's favourite, I think you are, for this competition, year in, year out. How are you feeling so far?
Oh, I'm pretty confident. Funnily enough, I had a bit of trouble both times I did win the meeting in the qualifying races, so maybe you never know.
Heat number 12 with Joe Owen from Newcastle, who has yet to score on the inside wearing the red helmet colour. Grid 2 has Phil Crump with a win and a little bit of a lucky third with ignition problems, the bike not really firing. He has 4 points. Bobby Schwartz in Grid 3 needs points. He only has 2, so we'll look to anchor a few more here to look to a consolation final place, or indeed a place in the grand final. And on the outside is Melvin Taylor, who has a race win and a third place. He's on 4 points. So Owen and Schwartz will need points. Crump is away, and so too is Taylor. It is Crump who leads it. In second place, creeping through as they all drifted out, it was Owen, and it is all tightening up for third place. Crump in front. In second place now is Taylor. In third place it is Owen, and Bobby Schwartz at the back. Bobby clearly has been unsettled by an early exclusion. Not the shadow of the man we know he can be. Phil Crump from Mildura in Victoria, previously with Crew in British Speedway. Had a mild spell with Kingsland very early on. Moved down to Newport, thence to Bristol and on to Swindon, so really has been West Country based. Second place is Taylor, third is Owen. The big surprise here in Heat 12 has been the performance of Bobby Schwartz at the back. This is Crump, no danger for him. We'll have a look back, time to look back over his shoulder. You can see them as he goes over the line. He wins it. Second place is Taylor, third is Owen, and Schwartz at the back, and that is the eyebrow raiser in Heat 12.
So Phil Crump putting his earlier mechanical problems behind him, right back on winning form, and with one round of qualifying races left, our leader is Jeremy Doncaster on 9 points, leading by 2 from Phil Crump and John Louis, and on 6 points we've got Mel Taylor and Billy Sanders. And we'll be back with more action from Vauxhall Stadium in just a couple of minutes' time. Welcome back to Vauxhall Stadium, the Daily Mirror Westlake Classic. Still to come, the spectacular 16-lap, 8-man final. But we're into the last round of qualifying races now as we rejoin Dave Lanning.
Well, here is Kai Niemi, who needs points in Heat 13 as all the riders come into their last qualification race. Let's look across. On the inside, Mel Taylor has 6. He should be safe for the final. Grid 2 has Kai Niemi, who needs points. Trevin Eriksson needs points as well from Grid 3. And on the outside, Billy Sanders, he too should be through. And it's Niemi who shows. Niemi in front, and Niemi is in trouble, and the bike has stopped, and he almost took the wall through the fence. Sanders managed to avoid him. That surely is the end of the 1984 16-lapper for Kai Niemi. Not a lucky night for him. Mel Taylor in front. In second place it is Eriksson. In third place it is Sanders. And Eriksson and Sanders are both impeded by Niemi, albeit unwittingly. Mel Taylor up front, and the battle beginning to tighten up for second place between Eriksson and Sanders. And Sanders almost managed to get in front there around the inside, but Eriksson just managed to have the line and the outside, a bit more drive perhaps as well. It's going to be Taylor who wins it. Second place is Eriksson. Third is Sanders. Here's Mel Taylor. and that certainly makes sure he will go through, and probably will start at the back of the grid as well, because he's finished on a total of 9 points. Well, let's look at that first corner again. Michael, Kainemi got the drop, but then got into all kinds of trouble mechanically at the first turn, didn't he?
Yeah, you can see here he's made a great start, and Ericsson's there right on his back wheel as he cuts out and has to lock up. Does well not to go right round, actually. Sanders is just completely stuck on the outside. As you can see, locked back, just missed him. He did well, as you say, to do that.
You can see his annoyance as well. Okay, look at that. Oh.
Real angry about that one.
Looking across the line on the inside, Nigel Flatman, well, really, he's out of it. 1 point only from 3 starts. Grid 2, same story for Joe, and a bit of a disappointment for the big, tough lad from Lancashire. He's only got 1 point. John Cook, despite a tape exclusion, has 5 points. He's in grid 3 in the white helmet. So a third place here ought to be sufficient to take him into the final. And Andy Campbell on the outside looking for his second place, 2 points. So we'll look to the 2 riders in the outside grids to show up to the first corner here in heat number 14. And it looks like Owen's got away. And from the inside it is Flatman. And coming hard, and it is Cook. And where is Campbell? Campbell's moved up into third place. It is Cook in front. And Campbell battling hard for the 2 points to take him into the final. And I think he's going to get round them. Cook in front. Campbell is second. Fine piece of cornering from the young man from the south, from Guildford. Here is Cook. Cowboy Cook. Of course, one of America's test heroes. Looks like he does throw his legs about. Remember here in the test match, he actually put his leg out to stop somebody going by, which is not advisable. You've only the health of your leg. Seem to recollect it was Jeremy Doncaster. He prevented going by with his leg, and these two could clash in the final, which should be interesting. Now Cook is starting to mono-wheel, which is his trademark. Exuberance, showing when he go over the line on his back wheel. Oh, just about. He wins it. Second place, Campbell doing enough. Third place, it is Flatman. So heat number 16, the last of the qualifying heats. And again, there are jobs to be done by the riders involved. Hans Nielsen on the inside in red there is Tiger Louis. In the outside now, Nielsen on the inside has 5 points. Really needs 2 points at least to go to the final. Next to him, Carl Blackburn out of contention on 1 point, but he's been involved gamely. Grid 3 has Phil Crump on 7 points, who should be safely through, and so too has John Louis. He has 7, so he should be in the final as well. It really is building up to quite a climax here at Foxhall Heath. We'll watch for Nielsen, who needs 2 points from the inside grid. Like it will be Nielsen who will show in front. He does so, and no, he got the most horrendous elbow going to that first corner, and he really did well to keep in contact with the machine. Nielsen in front, second place is Crump. I think it was Crump that was putting himself about. There they are, you can see Louis has recovered his equilibrium and chasing hard after Blackburn. So Hans Nielsen with a job to do here, doing it quite beautifully. Louis has moved up into third place, but there's no way he's going to catch the leaders. And there is the leader, Hans Nielsen from Vost in Jutland, now resident with Oxford Cheetahs in the British League. A rider who many feel should have a World Championship success. He certainly has the pedigree and the class, but he always seems to freeze on the big night. Hasn't frozen here in heat 16. He wins it, takes him into the final. Second place is Crump, third place is Louis. We should be seeing all those three surely now in the final, in the big race.
So, Mike Lee, we're set for this 16-lap final. Now, you've ridden it on several occasions. Can you describe exactly how tough it is?
Yeah, it's very tough indeed. I mean, the vibration that comes through the handlebars on a speedway bike is tremendous. So over a 16-lap period, your wrists really suffer. And I should imagine after 10 laps, they'll be wishing, you know, it was time to stop. But well, you manage to keep yourself going just on sheer determination.
And the racing itself can get pretty frantic. It can get pretty congested out there, can't it?
Yeah, it's certainly hectic, especially if you're in the middle of the field. Then you just don't know which direction to go sometimes. I've ridden it a couple of times myself, and certainly I wouldn't like to get mixed up.
What's the great advantage, the difference between being on the front row or the back row?
Well, obviously, if you're on the front row, you've got the advantage of seeing daylight most of the time. Hopefully, you can keep the back row behind you, but normally the better guys are on the back, so they're all the time pushing, trying to find a gap to get through, and it makes for some pretty exciting speedway.
So let's look at the front line. Remember, these are the 4 scorers who were not in the top grouping, so they are the second 4 highest scorers. On the inside, John Cook in red. He finished with 8 points. Then next to him in blue, we have Billy Sanders. He finished on 7. John Louis in white in grid 3 at the front. He finished on 8, and so too did Trevor Ericsson. Dark horse, this lad, on the outside in yellow and black. Now, looking back onto the back grid, remember, all these riders gain an extra 2 points for being so handicapped. On the inside in the red and white, unfamiliar helmet colour, it's Jeremy Doncaster. He has 9 points. So too has Mel Taylor. He is in blue and white in grid 2 at the back. In grid 3 in green and white, it's Hans Nielsen, and Hans has 8 points. And then right on the outside of the back, it is Phil Crump in green. And we can just say they're letting the clutches cool down there. It's going to be a long old haul here, and it is quite a sight when you see these 8 guys all coming up the straight to you. It's something quite unique in Speedway and very exciting. Let's see now on the front who is going to be the hares that try and get clear and pace themselves. The tension rises. Here we go. The 16-lap marathon final, and off they go, and who will show? And it looks like Tiger Louis is away. Louis is away at the back. It is Doncaster who goes hurtling in through, and I think Crumpton of Docken is tailed off at the back. And here's the sight with Louis in front. Second place is Ericsson. What a sight. Louis in front, then Ericsson in third place. It is Cook. Then we have Sanders, and down they have gone, and it looks like Ericsson is the man who went, and so too it's Louis, and that was a nasty moment. And Cook is down as well, and this is the danger, of course, with this kind of speedway. Let's have a look at it again. A really horrendous accident here in the final. You can see John Louis going through our picture as we pick them through, and we go back onto the leading pack. Michael will pick up with Louis in all kinds of trouble. John's gone there. They take us through this.
Yeah, you can see Doncaster has nowhere to go. He goes right over the top of Louis there, and really nasty fall indeed, and very lucky to get up from that one.
And Sanders going down, yes, and the bike goes ploughing through the fence here. What a nasty moment.
Knocked Doncaster back as well a bit by the looks of it, but I think he'd lost enough speed just to not do any damage.
Well, there is John Louis going into the ambulance rooms. It would seem he is moving his arms, and they haven't strapped his legs together, which is an encouraging sign. So we must just wait the medical report. So we're back again for the rerun. It's back to 16 laps. The riders go into their original grid positions, of course, without the rider in white, John Louis, who was in the middle of all the cars. That really must have been a heart-stopping moment. Can you imagine falling off in front of 7 riders bearing down? Here's the restart without Louis. Cook on the inside in red. In blue it's Sanders. On the outside there is Ericsson. Doncaster at the back there, along with Taylor, Nielsen and Crump, and away this time, and who again will show? And this time it looks like Sanders has got the drop. Sanders away, and we've lost another rider down. Like Doncaster has gone there all over the place here. The track is down, the fence is down, the light must come on, the race is continuing. We have got Mel Taylor out, and the light must come on. Well, Doncaster and Mel Taylor were the ones to go that time, and it must be said the referee was a dreadfully long time stopping it, because we'd lost, what, 10 yards of fence. Well, let's have a look at the incident again, and we'll watch for Jeremy Doncaster on the inside on the back grid. Michael.
See, Doncaster comes up on the inside here, and I think he just threw it into the corner a little too hard and turned round completely. As you can see, he's going there. Mel Taylor was very lucky indeed. He actually tangled with Doncaster there, and he's going straight on towards the fence, but luckily stayed out of trouble. But Doncaster's out of this one.
And the fence gets another tasing. And so for the third time of asking, the 16-lap final with now just 3 riders on the front grid, 3 on the back. They're dropping in a way that only Agatha Christie would acknowledge. Without Louis, without Doncaster now. And up to the corner. And this time it is John Cook who is in front. Sanders is second, in third place it is Ericsson. So Cook leads it as they come past our commentary position. Second place Ericsson. Green and white. That's Nielsen has moved in front of the back markers with Crump, and then it is Taylor at the back. So we've safely got around the first 2 laps where all the trouble has been. It is still Cook in front, then Ericsson. Sanders. Crump making his move up through the back of the field. He is right on the back wheel of Hans Nielsen, and Taylor has rather been dropped off at this stage. Over 16 laps, a long way to go. Still Cook in front, and we look at the towards the back, and Crump and Nielsen, the 2 favourites perhaps, are still a long way back, lying now 4th and 5th. There is the leading group. There are the 2 back markers moving up. Still some time to go and some way to go, and the pace will begin to tell. The wrists will start to ache, the machines will start to get hot. It's a time when the real men come to the fore, and Cook, who stayed out of the carnage on the first 2 attempts to run this final, and Crump has switched to the outside and can't get through, and now Cook is getting clear. Coming into lap number 6, 10 to go, remember, still a long way. Well, Michael Lee, John Cook is building up a lead here, and although Crump's been trying, he's not really making any impression at the back, is he?
No, he's really trying hard, but Nielsen's just been everywhere he wants to go, but it looks like he could have got under Nielsen there. No, Nielsen's down again. He's just blocking every move he's trying to make, but certainly Cook is pulling out one hell of a lead here.
Yes, well, John Cook, this Californian resident with the Witches. And if we just look back down the field, you can see them ducking and diving, and Crump has moved through on the inside of Nielsen. It got awfully tight down the field. There's a battle for second and third place. Crump has moved through now. Can Phil Crump, this durable twice winner of this tournament, possibly make up the distance? He's a long way back. He's got past Nielsen. They're into lap 9, and Crump has moved up into third place. The battle is really at the back. This really is developing into such a fascinating tactical battle, because Cook has gone a long way clear. Second place is Ericsson. Now Crump, who was held back for an awfully long time by Hans Nielsen. Surely they're not going to catch John Cook. He's, what, 50 lengths clear. This is lap 11. They're past the 9-lap cut mark. And settling down. And Crump seems to be tiring, and Cook is growing in strength. Sanders has pulled out. It's getting a bit dusty out there. The machines must be feeling the distance as Cook moves on, steadily pulling away. And Crump having trouble getting past Ericsson now, and he really has been held up in the traffic, and that's been the opportunity this man John Cook has been looking for. Coming into lap 13, let's hope that's not an unlucky one for him, or indeed this race. And Crump has moved up into second place. He's got 3 laps. Can he possibly make up the distance? It's still Cook, and Cook's machine is beginning to miss. Cook's machine is beginning to miss. Crump is in second place. Now, Cook's is definitely slowing, and we have drama here as Cook is out of contention. The bike has given up with, what, just a lap to go. He's got it going again. My word, where have you seen drama? Here comes Crump past him, and Crump sweeps inside. Down they both have gone. My goodness me, the drama going right until the last seconds of this incredible 16-lapper. They're into the last lap. And Cook, whose machine was giving up, was trying to get it going. He was right in the middle of the track. Crump hit him. They've both gone down. There is Cook. He's on his feet. Now, what is the referee going to make of that? Well, let's look at that incident again, which really was the culmination of an incredible final. You can see that Cook here, his machine is slowing. Michael, here comes Phil Crump.
Yeah, Cookie was trying to get it going again. Crumpy had decided to go on the inside. Cookie was there. There was nothing he could do. I think the best manoeuvre Crumpy would have done would have been to try to have gone around the outside. But, I mean, it all happened so quick, there was nothing he could do.
Well, the result of that dramatic last lap incident, the referee excluded John Cook, and so the final placings in this dramatic and incident-packed Daily Mirror Westlake 16-lapper. First, Phil Crump finishing on 25 points. In second place, Hans Nielsen on 20 points. Third place was Melvin Taylor on 19, and fourth declared overall, Previn Eriksson with 18 points.
John Cook, dramatic and confused. What was the story of that last lap for you?
What the problem was, what happened, my dead man switch got caught around our reservoir oil jug, and it started to pop on me. I was trying to baby it to keep my leash, the slack off of it, and it came out on this turn, so I fingered it, got it going, and at the time I got my rubber back on, they'd caught up on me. There's just nothing I could do. Phil came underneath me. By the time I got into power again, there's nothing I could have done about it.
How aware were you of Phil right behind you then?
Well, I saw a signal from Bobby Schwartz with a fence, big lead. I didn't feel anybody, so I felt comfortable, and I was trying to pace myself, so I felt real good, but unfortunately, Phil would have won it anyway since he was off the back row, so right. Unfortunate.
What words did you exchange after that incident?
Oh, nothing. It was just one of those things, you know, he was doing his job and I was doing mine. It just happened that way.
Up here, and away this time. And up to the corner, it is Carter who shows. Carter in front, Ross is second, and Carter is all over the place and trying to hang on, and he does so. He's got Larry Ross after him, and Anderson coming hard through as well. And Anderson's right on the back wheel of Carter, but Carter has survived the first lap.
As it goes along, you know, Jeremy fell off and a couple of the other riders were excluded, but, you know, I had a little bit of bad luck myself in the qualifying heat, so possibly evened itself out.
Happy to say that both Jeremy and indeed John Louis both seem to be fit and well. Any question marks over the safety of this event? It's very dramatic, but is it safe, do you think?
Yes, but, you know, tonight the track was very slick, which made it possibly a little bit more dangerous than normal, you know, because there was only one line out fairly wide early on in the night and early on in the actual 16-lap race, but no, I think it's quite okay. You know, everybody's very desperate to win because, you know, it's a hell of a prize, it's a new engine.
Congratulations once again, Phil. Congratulations also, John Cook, making such a marvellous climax to the evening. Well, that's it from Ipswich, the Daily Mirror Westlake 16-lap classic. What a night of absolute high drama. And the next speedway that we got here on Anglia comes from the National League scene at Peterborough, the 14 Championship. But from us all here at Vauxhall Heath, good night to you all.
But now let us switch our